Hello, Nathan here from the photography team. Alongside me is...
Hi, I'm Ben.
Ben. We make up the photography team, obviously. Going to be doing a review today of Sigma lenses, in particular the lenses that we currently use and the ones that are on our wish list. All the lenses we have here are for full frame cameras. So what we're going to do is just go through them one by one, just explaining the construction and how they perform for our wedding photography. Ben's got a new toy. I
have the DJI Osmo Mobile. Right a couple of days ago. I've done an unboxing video of it, and we're going to do some videos of how it works and how to pair it up with your phone and all that kind of stuff. So I thought we'd try it out today and include that footage really as part of that review.
So we're using that for the close-ups. Today, again, we're using an iPhone 7 for the main footage. Just gives you an idea of the quality of that camera. Okay, so I think if we start off with, we're going to go size, as in
50mm.
50mm.
So we've got the 50mm, the 35mm, and a 24 to 35. So yeah, this is what we've got. So we'll start with a 50, closest to your end.
Now we both have a 50mm lens. Now these are aperture 1.4 up to a minimum aperture of f16, so very good in low light. 13 elements in 8 groups. There is a 77mm filter thread, so that's sort of your main standard for a lot of Canon lenses. Obviously come with a lens hood. What we'll do now is I'll just show you a quick close-up of the lens. Now these aren't image stabilised. So this is the 50mm f1.4. We just have one switch here, which is obviously for the autofocus and manual focus. They come with a included lens hood. There's the massive front element. Like I said, 13 elements and 8 groups, so quite a complicated lens. There's the rear element, which is obviously f1.4, so quite a large element. Now, what's your experience of this lens?
I personally love it. It's my go-to lens for weddings. I normally run with both of these at the start. And the 50 is on all the time. I love it as a portrait lens. If you know about sort of lenses, 50mm is a very natural look, so it's very similar to what your sort of eye perceives.
On a full frame body.
On a full frame. So yeah, I love it. It's so sharp. The colours, the contrast that come out of the art range, I fell in love with, which is why I sort of mainly run with a 2 Sigma setup, really. And
sharpness. I mean, sharpness is phenomenal.
Yeah, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And one thing about these on the body itself is they've got a stamp, so 014 on there. This one's 012 and this one's 015. That's the year they were made. And that gives you an idea of sort of when you're picking one of these up. But 50 definitely is my favourite.
I mean, this one's 815 grams, so it's not light. And if you were to compare that to maybe, let's say, the Canon's Nifty 50, which would probably sit maybe this size on the lens, this is quite substantial. But it's because of all the elements, 13 elements in 8 groups, that makes it quite a complicated lens. But obviously that gives you the best image quality that you can get from a lens that isn't necessarily top of the market, but comparing it to a Canon, we think these are on par with Canon for half the price.
To be honest, when it's on body, we use 5D Mark IIIs with grips on. When it's on body, it feels all right. It's fine. It's not too front heavy at all. And that goes with all of these. Obviously, you can see that this one's quite a bit bigger as well. But no, I'm mega happy with the Sigma glass.
Yeah. Great for low light, like we just explained earlier.
Yeah, 1.4, so plenty. And even at 1.4, it's still sharp. 2.8 we find sweet spot for it. Often use it at 2.8. I think its maximum's 22. I think most of
No, f16. This one's
16.
maximum. No, sorry. Hang on. f16. Yeah, it is f16 on this lens.
Yeah. So you haven't got that ultimate, f32s for your landscape stuff, have you? But
you aren't going to be. You're not going to be. No.
You're not using it for that, are you? And the same with this. I'm pretty sure this goes to 22 off the top of my head. It's probably where I got it from. I might be wrong. It might be 16 or with the other one. But again, it's not a landscapes.
It's f16 as well. They all are f16.
Okay.
Which is quite uniform across the range.
Yeah. So 35. This one's your baby, isn't it?
Yeah, this one's mine. I do own a 50. Originally acquired the 35. Now I used to use the Canon 24 to 35 f4IS, but I weren't happy with the quality of the images. And at f4, it's not really ideal for low light situations. Although the IS does help in low light situations, if your subject's moving, well, that's no good because you need a faster shutter speed. So I decided to go to the Sigma. This one is, like I said, the 35mm, again f1.4, so great in low light and pretty sharp at f1.4. But like Ben was saying, we do like to stop these down a bit to maybe f2.8 to get the best sort of sharpness. But again, has the focusing screen here. We have the switch for autofocus and manual focus. Now these do have manual override when you're in an autofocus mode. Again, they come with a lens hood, which is good because again, some Canon lenses you buy, lens hoods are extra. Now, if we go on to the specs for this one, this is 13 elements in 11 groups. So again, quite a complicated lens. Minimum aperture f16. Obviously, that is from 1.4. And this one has a 67mm filter thread. Obviously, the 50 had a 77mm filter thread. And this is 665 grams, so a little bit lighter than the 50. But obviously, if you compare them, that is a smaller lens. But again, this is great. Standing at the front of the church, 35 is wide enough to get your couple and obviously quite a bit of the congregation. Dance floor shots, group shots. It can do all of those, and it's very very sharp and ideal for those situations.
So 24 to 35. If I can turn mine off, that'd be good. Yeah, you beep away.
Ding ding.
There we go. Still getting used to this. I've also just found out I can zoom in. That's quite handy. Hold the trigger, move the thumbstick. Good. 24 to 35. I was using a 24 to 70 2.8 Canon, as quite a lot of people do. Had the Mark 1. That was my kit lens, go-to lens, whatever you want to call it. It gave that lovely range, 24 to 70. They advertised this. Because I fell in love with this, I thought that this was going to be just as good. I loved what was coming out of the 50, the colours, the contrast, the sharpness. And I had to make the decision, am I going to miss 35 to 70mm? Do I use 35 to 70mm, or as quite a lot of photographers use, front to back? I was using 70mm, I was using 24, and I found I was stopping at 35. So yeah, I made the jump, swapped in the 24 to 70 for this, and I'm glad I did. And as much as there isn't a great range on this, it does go 24 to 35. Yeah, it's just one of those things. Let's just sort this out. So yeah, I'll give Nathan a go on the old recording. Okay, so the 24-35 looks a lot like the others, apart from the zoom ring. 35, 24. If my memory serves me right, it's the other way around, Canon as well. So 24 would be there, 35 would be there, but don't quote me on that one. And we've got the nice A for art. Come round to the autofocus, manual focus, and it looks pretty much exactly the same as the other two. All the way around, you can see it's a nice solid construction. These are fairly heavy.
Would you say these are made of metal?
Yeah, there is. These are certainly metal here. There may be a sort of bit of both, but you can feel the cold. They are certainly metal, I would say.
But the plastic is quality.
Yeah, most definitely. And you can see all the way through. This is an f2 constant on this one throughout the range, and it is the three primes: 24, 28, and 35. And they're really nice, really sharp. And the other thing I do like about this is how close you can focus, which is about a ruler's length.
28 centimetres.
There we go. Which is close. You know, you think some macros and some of those standard lenses. Yeah, I do like that, especially the fact that you can go really 24mm wide and get that close. It's really handy.
And it's quite heavy.
It is heavy, but again, it feels okay on the body.
940 grams, so just under a kilo.
Yeah, and it's just over the 50 as well, really. So yeah, that's the sort of the newest one out of the lot we've got. We like our Sigma lenses, don't we? So I suppose we go on to our wish list. What would we like next? And that's what Sigma have just brought out at Photokina, which is the 12 to 24 and the 85. So kind of sit bridging this 12 to 24, 85 on this end. And you're really interested in the 85, aren't you?
I'm really interested in 85. I mean, I currently for weddings I'll have the 35 on one body, and on the other body I'll normally have the Canon 70-200 IS Mark II. I'm tempted to, most of the time at a wedding, run with a 35 on one body and an 85mm on the other body. I will still use the 70-200 because that is a fantastic lens, but I think just having two primes, both for f1.4, both very sharp, ideal for low light, because as we know in weddings, there are lots of situations where you can't actually use a flash. So the more light you can let through that lens, the better. Obviously means you don't have to have your ISO settings so high, which obviously reduces the noise in the image. And like you said before, the colours that these lenses produce is fantastic.
I think having just using that Sigma range, we'll get an overall look to our images as well, because they're all coming out of the same range. I think they'll all look really nice.
I mean, I think the Sigma 85 is probably going to start at £1,200. I think it's around £11.99 UK pounds, which will probably be the same in dollars, $1,200.
Yeah, so just checking on a website, we've got $11.99 up for the new 85, and that's obviously a starting
pre-order at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, pre-order. Some details of the 85 on Sigma's website. Again, f16 maximum aperture, as the same as the rest of this lot. A big old filter size of 86mm.
Now, I've never heard of an 86mm filter on a camera.
Big.
That's probably going to cost an arm and a leg.
The filter itself, yeah, definitely. This lens construction is 14 elements in 12 groups. And what else have we got? A minimum focusing distance of 85 centimetres.
So just under a metre. But because it's 85mm, you don't really need to be so close to it.
Exactly. And what else have we got?
It doesn't actually tell you the weight.
By the looks of it, no. Let's have a quick look.
I'd probably put it on par with the 24-35.
I would say it's heavier, because you've got another 4mm on that, haven't you? 82mm up to 86. Let's see if anywhere on here is going to tell me the weight of it. I'm just literally looking on the Sigma website, sigmaglobal.com, sigma-global.com. quick flip through, I can't see it.
No.
Somebody out there may be able to find it quicker. And,
Now,
but if you do, by all means, put it on the comments. The other thing to say is that they're also going to be work with the Sigma dock, which we've got, so you can do all your micro adjustments and firmware updates as well. So that's quite handy. So yeah, we're looking forward to that, most definitely, aren't we?
Yes, and you're looking forward to the new wide angle.
Yeah, I currently have the 16-35 Mark II Canon,
which we primarily use for property shoots.
Property, a bit creative at weddings. You know, lay on the floor, get a nice wide view of the venue, etc. But I just think they say this is supposed to be distortion free. I think they said it was.
It'd be nice to test.
And this one's an f4 throughout.
That's the only. Well, not a downside, but it would have been nice if that would have been quicker.
Yeah. Well, you're going creative. We like to sort of push those, don't we? We like to go 2.8s and beyond if we can. But it's one of those things, isn't it? Go 12mm, which is a hell of a lot wider than 16. That does bring it out quite a bit. So this is f22, so it goes in line with your your landscape stuff. Obviously, so much wider. F22 is good. 16 elements in 11 groups, and this one I think is going to be big, purely on the means of size. You're going to have a domed front, and this one gives a weight of 1,150 grams. Which
so
is
over a kilo.
Over a kilo. That's heavier than this beast. So it'd be a heavy old lens, but then it's probably more to go on a tripod, maybe. It's landscape photographer, all of that kind of stuff. Not necessarily have to hold it, but I like to be creative, so I'm holding it most of the time.
And I think if we look at the price of that one, that's not going to be cheap, is it?
No, most definitely not. Have you got a price there?
No, I was in there.
Let's have a look.
Which again is on pre-order.
Yeah, it's 16.49.
Yeah, so it's expensive.
That's say Sigma Fit, but that can't be any different.
But that new lens has a domed front element, doesn't it?
Yes.
So you aren't going to be able to put filters on that one.
No.
And I think I don't know whether the lens hood is fixed into the lens to give the protection.
I would probably go with yes. I
Yeah.
can't see many images flicking through this of it without it on.
But in the last few years, Sigma has upped its game. I mean, if you'd gone a few years back, you would have been looking at the Sigmas would not have been as good as they are now. They've really upped their game.
And I think the art range have done it for them, really. I mean, they've got the contemporary range, I think it is, and they've got a sports range. But this is the range that sort of tickles off.
I mean, we like the primes and we like the 24 to 35. However, we both have a Canon 70-200, which we wouldn't dream of changing for Sigma's version. I mean, that is a fantastic lens from Canon.
Sharp, it's got all your image stabilisation in it, and at the end of the day, we've got it. You know, what are we actually going to gain by chopping it in? And we do use it. It's even a nice portrait lens. You can compress the background down.
It would be nice to see IS, image stabilisation, in the Sigma lenses.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to have IS in anything, isn't it? Really, I suppose. But no, we're looking for, and hopefully we can get our hands on at least the 85. And I think you're probably going to try and do that anyway.
Yeah.
And I'll see whether or not I can give up the 16-35 at the 2.8 for the 12 to 24 at f4.
Well, that's an easy. You could easily exchange that because you've still got the focal range for our property photography.
Yeah.
However, if I was to get, I still have my 16-35 f4 for Canon, but it very rarely comes out the bag now because I've always got the 35 on. But I do use it for property.
I just think to me it would sit here. So 12 to 24, 24 to 35. So I've got 12 to 35. 50mm sits there. I then have 70 to 200. And I've got a fairly good cover. I think, I'll probably fall in love with 85mm if you get it, and there we go. Might be a couple of them as well.
Well, I just think know, stood at the aisle, stood at the front of the church with 85. That's a good enough zoom. And the thing is now with the sensor technology and how good these are. I mean, these will go on a 50 megapixel camera, no problem, and give you excellent results. If you need to, you can just crop in a bit on the image.
Yeah.
You lose a little bit. You know, it's not a problem.
I think Sigma has said definitely the new lenses as well are going to cope with 50mm sensors. Yeah. So you know, they're future proofing themselves as well.
I mean, the 35, I believe, was the first art to come out.
Yes, I believe
this was 2012.
Yeah. So there's a 35, 20, 24, 50, 24, 35.
There is an 85 at the moment, but that's going to be discontinued for the new art.
Well, I don't think that's an art one, is it?
No, it's not an art. That's the older, but that's still a good lens, apparently, looking at the reviews. So
I've got the art range up here now, actually. So full frame wise, 24 to 35. 24 to 105 f4, 20mm 1.4, 24mm 1.4, 35mm 1.4, 50 1.4, a 50. No, that's not full frame. The new 12 to 24 to 85. So the non-full frames, they do 18 to 35, 30mm, and 50 to 100mm.
1.8.
You don't have full frame. Yeah, 1.8.
1.8, which is great.
Yeah.
A lot of people use that 18 to 35 for video, don't they? The cropped, the one designed for the cropped sensors.
I think we'll put a link to Sigma.
We'll put a link to Sigma. I mean, these are Canon mount. They come in Nikon mount,
Sigma mount.
Sigma mount.
I think that's it, isn't it? Let's click on
Sony. I think there's a Sony fit.
Is there?
There is in the old lenses.
Let's see if they give anything other specifications, details. No. But yeah, it could be Sony as well. Yeah,
well, probably an adapter will put an adapter on there.
And I'm sure people can let us know as well if they know off the top of their heads. So we love Sigma. I think we fell in love with the Sigma glass. And this is the one that started it all off. For me anyway. Most definitely. I think I even pre-ordered that one.
I was a bit sceptical at first. Yeah. Because I'm a Canon shooter, I love to have the red ring on the lens. But when Ben got his 50mm, just looking at the results that provided, I was converted. Like I said, I've bought the 50, I've got the 35, and I'm looking at the 85.
Yeah, so if you shoot Sigma, let us know about your experiences, love or hate.
Well, some people say that the 35 does miss focus occasionally, but I've not had any issues with this one at the moment.
Sometimes it's also user error, isn't it? Yeah. But hey, we love them. If you like it, let us know. If you maybe you fell in love with the new line of Tamron or what have you, let us know, because people obviously reading these comments would like to know as well.
Pop along to our website, which is www.thephotographyteam.co.uk. We have got some galleries there of images that have been taken at weddings using these lenses.
And I think we have a blog post on the 50. I can't remember if we did a blog post on that or not. Brain's not following me on that.
No.
Have a look anyway. You can subscribe on there. You'll be known when we do some more blog posts on there. And then do please subscribe, like, share. Some more subscribers we always appreciate. And thank you for subscribing.
And if any of you do get hold of the 85 1.4 before I do, make sure you do a review of it so I can have a look.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for watching, and we'll be uploading some more videos soon.
See ya.
Bye.